Hi, we live here near the Bluffs and would like to share what they mean to us.
What does it mean, this sacred space, rich with nature's lavish grace? I wander here, along this ground, beauty apparent all around. My body calms, I gaze in awe, land safe to flourish, wild and raw. Gold rays that heal both heart and soul filter through the old windrow. I hear waves echo as they crash, brown pelicans hover, dive, and splash. A stink bug saunters slowly by, alarmed a ground squirrel sounds its cry. This is my playground, my backyard, I will not see this landscape scarred.
I climb the fallen living tree, my sights drawn toward the purple sea. And sure enough, what greets my gaze but dolphins winding through the waves. Nearby an egret stalks its prey, above a heron soars away. Guests and staff will overrun this space, scare nature from its rightful place. Event noise will waft across the bluffs, the seals' evening song they'll snuff. Walls of buildings will wipe out views of mountains, ocean, Santa Cruz. Parking lots, bungalows, barns, and more will crowd the landscape toward the shore. Pools and spas and restaurants thrive, but not where habitats survive.
I know that we can save this land. Together, we must take a stand. To build this land would be perverse. Set precedents we can't reverse.
We dream to buy this land someday, to keep it safe for children's play, for hawks to hunt and bunnies hide, for neighbors to walk side by side.
It's open now, has always been. Development we won't let win.
We've saved the magic here before, we'll fight to keep it safe once more. For seasons pass, and profits too, but nature lasts with help from you.
Please don't build on our bluffs.
We love them as they are, open for all to enjoy.
Thank you, girls. And okay, it's okay to clap for them, but nobody else. All right. And they went over their 5-second allotment, by the way, so there. Okay, Billy Stewart, come on up. And here we go.
I don't want a hotel to be built on the bluffs. Never. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. That was short and sweet. I love that. Okay, Stewart. Frankie Stewart. Frankie. Rose Deacon. Rose Deacon following Frankie.
So, you said to get to the point.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm just gonna skip to it. Just please, 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 please don't build a hotel on the bluffs. I just really don't want a hotel on the bluffs.
Kudos, man. I like it. Directly to the point. Okay. Rose Deacon. Followed by, I gotta change glasses. Julie Turamara? Okay. No Rose Deacon. Going once. Going twice. Okay. We gotta, if we're gonna be here all night, I want to at least get to bed by 2. So.
Here comes Rose.
Doing that.
Hi everybody, sorry. Hi, my name is Rose Deacon. My family's been here 6 generations. Every scrap of land that they've ever had is gone. It's built up, it's covered, it's not an open space anymore. I would love for this land to stay open for our kids, for generations to come. It's magic, it's open, it's treasure, and we have to protect it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Julie, come on
I'm going to
up.
let the elders speak first and then I'll go.
Oh, the elders speak, okay.
Ernestine Ignacio.
All right, well, she's going to speak for you then?
No.
Because really, we've got to kind of keep it limited. Okay, please, welcome.
She's the elder. It's our tradition.
I understand that. Thank you.
Haku. I'm Ernestine Ignacio de Soto, Santa Barbara, Chumash, here 15,000 years, not a newcomer. But I want to say praise and gratitude and thank you to those children because they're our future and they make us Chumash proud. So with that, I'm going to read to you. Napa snipit, hehe etel hilshu. Iwakapi, hipaya snipit. Kayake squidhi hisiwe. Hiki no no swash. And I lost my. What I just said is walk softly over this land, because beneath it our ancestors are sleeping here, and I can see them after a big rain, sticking out on the side and sticking up out of the ground. The next is Napisa Akshmur Hipitak Ikapsar Adakwai Hipitakus Hisiasu Kiher Ahas Hesiton Hihima Hihe Itit Hishu. Be still, listen, be quiet. The spirit of the land speaks, and so do the children, and so does all the public. Aho.
Thank you, Rose. Next.
Julie.
Julie, where'd you go? You're all mixed up here. Because Rose didn't have a speaker slip that way.
Thank you, everyone. There's a lot of greenwashing going around here, and when we look at our homeland, which the number has just gone up to 19,000 years scientifically, but we've always known we've always been here. I've been working with the city of Carpinteria for nearly 40 years, and I know that we respect where they are, their place here, and we've worked very well, I have personally, with many consultations. So what I see with the development, it is beautiful. They've done a lot of work, but not there. We have seen our coastal landscapes under these recent rains falling into the ocean. And so to remind most of you that when we look out into our ocean and we see those sacred islands out there, those are mountaintops. They've been covered up to that level now. So as we're seeing climate change as it is, we have to watch out. And as those children spoke so brilliantly, they are our future. And we as descendants, it is my great-grandmother who's from the village of Mishnapshnow. We are direct descendants from this land. Her grandmother, or her mother, was from Santa Rosa Island. So we do come from a very ancient place here. And there will never be any mitigation, which I'll come back and talk about the environmental aspect of it, but there'll be never enough work that would recover or discover our culture. It is so old and so deep and so long. And just the fact that we always have to come here and fight for the protection of our Chumash material world in that place. We're speaking for the animals also, and for the plants and for the spirits here too. 1999, our first spring equinox ceremony that we've held, the coyote came and visited us. And for 24, 25 years now, we have been praying for the preservation of these lands. Once we get Chevron out, that'll be another hurrah for all of us to see that gone. And we can't allow this type of constant seeing, lands that are empty, that got to do something with that. So, please people, just really rethink what we're doing here. It can be done somewhere else. Infrastructure that needs rebuilding. Other places that could use that revamping, but not on our sacred coastal lands. Thank you.
Thank you. Marianne?
She's coming.
And then Todd Stewart. Gather the troops there, Todd.
Marianne. Hello, my name is Marianne, and I am another Chumash here to speak on this area. I know we were here a couple of years ago. There was a lot going on, and the words that we use, natural, organic, sustainable. What's organic is leaving the land as it is, preserving it. That is natural. Nothing can ever replace the sacred land. We would never go into anybody's home, start digging up your backyard, start going into grave sites and digging these things up. We as Chumash lived across, and we also did what you would consider now as camping. We moved around, we hunted, we went and collected. So there's places that we had villages that we stayed in all the time, and there was also places that we went to collect our plants, hunt our animals. And so it breaks my heart to see that people don't understand how important and how sacred. We as women treat the land as our bodies. Desecration to the land is no different than your own body. You take care of it, you nurture it so that it takes care of you. We know when our ancestral plants are no longer here, we'll cease to exist. We just keep pushing. Everybody says wildlife, but I like to look at them. They are free. They don't understand what's going on. And we continue to push people out. We continue to push the animals out, and we continue to destroy everything that has made these sites so beautiful. As our elder usually says, our ancestors knew their real estate. They lived here for a reason. They protected these lands, and they have continually. We're never going to solve the homeless issue. We're never going to be able to build enough houses. We will destroy everything. And so I am really asking that we really look at this and understand that people are showing up and showing out because they feel so strongly. Everybody has some type of attachment to these areas. These are beautiful areas that we don't see everywhere. This is home. This is where we live. So I just respectfully ask that you please, please deeply consider that you will be destroying so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, remember our purview here. We're looking at a project. We are not the final say. So if someone's spoken in favor or denial, or someone ahead of you, ditto, and then let's let everybody have a chance speaking. Otherwise, we won't be able to get to everybody tonight. So, Todd, bring the troops. Where are they? Oh, literally the truth. Hey, I had no idea. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Todd Stewart, and we're Pack 50 of Carpinteria, and we're opposed to the hotel project. We teach the kids about the outdoor code, and one of the foundations of the outdoor code is to be conservation minded, and I think this project is not in line with that at all. And we just wanted to, these kids have been waiting outside for hours and they wanted to be seen, so here we are.
Welcome you guys, and thank you for your patience, and this is government at work. Maybe glacial speed.
The parade might continue, so we'll...
Oh, the parade's still coming. Hey, and Smokey the Bear's with you too.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Hi guys. Hi kids. Wow. Hey, everybody go home and study now. Wow. Hey, wait a minute. You're too old to be Scouts and Girl Scouts. Well, thank you. All right. I'm going to give Patrick Crooks, the president of the CVA, a little more time, because I know you speak with quite a few people here. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Stein, Chair Blakemore. I have some prepared comments to just keep it tight and to the point. Thank you, members of the board. Thank you for giving us this forum to share our comments this evening, and thank you for your commitment to work for free for our town to advise applicants on how to best proceed with their intentions. As president of the nonprofit Citizens for the Carpinteria Bluffs, we acknowledge and recognize our place here on unsucceeded lands of the indigenous people known as Chumash. We celebrate the spirit of the land in ceremony and prayer each spring, led by Julie Tumamaya Stensley, a primary local descendant of these lands. The concept of respecting an elder is one that is born out of recognition and wisdom and lived experience. It is a reason we trust our elders. I place trust in that belief and construct. For me, growing up in Carpinteria, I consider myself a true beneficiary of what this town believes in, what this town believes is right. I witnessed first person while in middle school how a grassroots effort could in fact save those very grassroots from all development, protected in perpetuity. I have this town, my parents, and my elders to thank. Those efforts still ring true today, which has allowed the next generation an opportunity to have a decision in the process of how to steward these places, these open spaces that are sacred, open, undeveloped land. This is our soul, our community character, this connection and experience to our elements that surround us in an open expanse. That sentiment is well understood if one is to read through our general plan. The general plan was crafted by Carpinterians who work here, who raise families here, who enjoy welcoming out-of-towners to experience our charm. Those visitors taste our vision for a community. They feel how this tastes and breathes in this town. This project before us tonight aims to exploit the soul of our town. It's a stiff slap in the face. This project ignores the opinions of so many Carpinterians have communicated. Why? For selfish individual profit, of course. A resort in this location is inappropriate. Does the zoning allow for it? Maybe. This applicant has chosen to ignore the reality of Carpinteria's soul. These sacred, open, undeveloped lands are protected in the eyes of thousands because those who crafted our general plan understood the resources that are essential to the quality of life here in our community. In tranquility, we choose and continue to prioritize the retention of open vistas, views of the ocean expanse out to the Channel Islands, views of our foothills that lead into a prominent San Ynez Range. These views are essential to our well-being. These views allow us to breathe in deep, to connect to our soul. Replenished in each visit or a glimpse in a drive-by, we choose and prioritize the protection of our flora and fauna, the healthy mature stands of eucalyptus, because of the habitat provided for our friends in flight, our raptors, our hummingbirds, our monarchs. We choose to oversee and attempt to protect one of the last Southern California harbor seal rookeries. We choose to value our farmers who feed us. If you haven't taken note, a resort development here along this stretch of coastal terrace is purely incompatible with our neighborhood. I have and continue to invite the applicant to come experience what Carpinterians hold so close to our hearts. Come live it. To live in a town like this is a dream, and we guard against the exploitation of our way of life, our culture, and our community. It will always be at stake. Our nonprofit has been engaged with the applicant, speaking our truths with a strong constituency that has been supporting our efforts for some 25 years. The applicant may choose to continue to market and sell our soul to their investors, but the applicant will continue to find resistance to that attempt because our soul was never for sale. A miscalculation, I suppose. We fully expect our elected officials and their appointees to represent their districts, their neighborhoods, and communicate our community's desire to retain what is legally ours. No Class 1 significant unavoidable impacts to our quality of life and the free movement of our wildlife. Why? Because they are avoidable. There have been claims by the applicant to balance impacts. Those scales are off, and we citizens recognize that. Landform modification in the order of 4,700 dump trucks worth of excavation and earth to achieve this proposed architecture for the benefit of investors. Little benefit would be had to our community. Sure, 40 low-income units and $2 million in annual tax revenue sounds like a start, but at what cost? You will surely hear tonight what the cost could be. Did I forget to mention the disregard for the Chumash-Mashopshno village that could be bulldozed to achieve this architecture? This applicant has made claims to live lightly on the land. 4,700 truckloads seems pretty heavy for a start. This applicant desires a clear-cut and mature healthy raptor habitat adjacent to our nature preserve, to likely drop in hundreds of boxed coast live oaks, imagining an oak woodland to screen a resort while taking our existing island and mountain views, sounds misguided to me. The applicant has simply disregarded the constraints analysis of their site because the motivation is profit, not harmony. Let's start with the scales and balance. Full respect of these lands means 0,000 cubic yards of cut. Start with it for a community driven that markets and appeals to those who want to walk lightly on these lands. If you will likely hear from many citizens this evening who come here tonight to provide testimony and context of what it is to live here, why our neighborhood matters to us, impacts to our resources and our identity are at stake in this proposal. You will hear specific language from our general plan, policies and goals that shall be honored in any application seeking development. Detriment to our biological resources, constant objectionable noise from a restaurant and wedding venue 150 feet from our nature preserve, increased traffic on our avenue, unavoidable impact to the public view corridors provided by our existing open space, all inconsistent and incompatible with our general plan. Please understand the finality of your recommendations this evening. We look to your words and guidance here this evening, realizing we are playing a game of dominoes on the table in a trick order you've seen before. How do they fall? I would like to close in the same way I opened, a recognition and appreciation for the Chumash lands here that remain intact, sacred, open, undeveloped, as they have been for thousands of years. Ernestine Ignacio already said what I was going to close with. Those words are spoken in her native language, which is, we can go there. But Living lightly on this land could never involve moving 47,000 cubic yards of earth to achieve that sentiment. Live and let live. A warrior spirit never dies, and guess what? I'm a warrior, and I'll be outside with my town if you need me. So.
Okay. Yeah. Ted Rhodes and Tess Mayer and Julia Mayer. Oh.
Good evening. For those that don't know me, my name is Ted Rhodes. I am past president of the Citizens for the Carpinteria Bluffs, and it is good to remind people about us because a lot of new people come to town, new people on the board. We were the ones with the Land Trust for Santa Barbara County that partnered for the public acquisition back in 1998 of the Carpinteria Bluffs Nature Preserve and Viola Fields, and then subsequently the Rincon Bluffs. So we're very much into this. I was going to speak to a number of pieces in the general plan, but I'll skip all of that as you suggest, Brad, because it's already been stated, and it's already been stated by staff, other than to say it is the role of the ARB to do more than just texture and paint palettes. It's also view corridors. And as a photographer, I just want to show you two photographs, and I'll submit smaller versions of this to staff. But I noticed that when elevations are done, including in the applicant's presentation, it's almost always from a wide angle lens, which is really wide. You know, if you're a photographer, you're 24, 28 millimeters, but the human eye looks at 50 millimeters, and you get a better view. So this is a photo that, I'll show it to the crowd here, but this is looking west from almost anywhere walking on the bluffs once you park at Baylord. You go down to the acknowledge marker or just walk straight towards Tea Time and Egg. You will see this uninterrupted view of nature, and it is astounding. And I'm not going to put up my easels because it would be too disruptive, but you'll be able to see those there. Now I did a second photograph that's taken right from the applicant's plans. And I would classify this as a class 1 significant negative visual and aesthetic impact upon the bluffs, because you will be seeing the structures the entire time you are walking west on the bluffs, and that simply should not be. So I just encourage you to not block the view corridors and to really get out your magnifying glasses or your +2 borrow some reading glasses from Brad there and really look at the plans, because if you look in closely, you go, oh, I really can't see the mountains. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ted. I got the Mayer sisters here. Here we go. Welcome.
It's Jess, not Tess.
Jess, not Tess.
Sorry. Hi. I stand here tonight brimming with gratitude to call Carpinteria my home, for you, the ARB, and for my fellow community members here to respectfully voice their opinions. For my daughter, Hallie, who is willing to spend her 11th birthday here because she understands what's at stake. But mostly I stand here filled with gratitude for the generations of Carpinterians that came before me, that have fought this battle continually and have saved large portions of the bluffs, that put in the hard work to develop and write a comprehensive general plan, the primary planning policy for this city, with the goal, and I quote, to preserve the essential character of our small beach town, its family-oriented residential neighborhoods, its unique visual and natural resources, and its open rural surroundings, while enhancing recreational, cultural, and economic opportunities for our citizens. They knew that over the course of time, numerous well-funded, savvy out-of-town real estate endeavors would find their way here and try to exploit this land. And they gave you, a document to defend it with. The general plan dictates that development on the bluff shall not obstruct existing view corridors of the ocean and blufftop edge. Views of the ocean and mountains for users of the Bluffs Nature Preserve and coastal trails for bluff area property owners and visitors and for passing motorists shall be maintained. I biked the perimeter of the proposal this past weekend with my family, and I can say with certainty that this development destroys ocean and mountain views from every direction. No amount of beautifully done but obviously distorted renderings can replace the reality the story poles reveal. The project is completely incompatible with this mandate. The general plan also states that new structures shall be low intensity and reflect the low-rise, small-town feel of the surrounding area. That regarding the mass and scale, the total square footage of structures shall be maintained at a size that preserves the area's open character and is compatible with adjacent open space areas. This development is vastly out of scale with the adjacent preserve. The largest buildings fall on the perimeter of the project, stretching from apartment buildings on the northwestern border to a large event barn and restaurant on the eastern border, and then reaching south toward the ocean with a spa, 2 swimming pools, and 40 individual bungalows. This is the largest resort ever proposed in Carpinteria, and it is being proposed right next to our Bluff Preserve. The mass, scale, and dispersion of structures are blatantly incompatible. The luxury resort proposed here is a for-profit venture from an out-of-town developer looking to exploit what generations here have kept safe for his own financial benefit and for the benefit of wealthy visitors. Supported by numerous clauses written into our general plan, we as a community can and must stand firmly opposed. Thank you.
I guess no clapping, it should go without saying, honestly, please. Yeah, you can clap if you want, but it takes longer, and we're here to be here all night, so it's up to you. Yes, go ahead.
Hello. I appreciate that you are here to receive the opinions of our community, and I understand the purview of the ARB, but I feel that we cannot take this project out of our community's context. Building a resort of this size, but really any resort, would irreparably damage the character of our community. Fortunately, sound community planning is found in our general plan, and I'm certain that you know that the mission is to preserve the essential character of our small beach town. It goes on, Jess just read it. I seriously love our general plan. It makes me feel safe, it makes me feel seen. What makes Carpinteria uniquely Carpinteria is our tenacious preservation, strategic community investment and planning, and true stewardship over the values of open space and recreation for our citizens. Carpinterians don't wholesale agree on anything, but we share a set of core values, which is why we have been so successful in stopping any prior attempts to develop Bluffs 1. We recognize that if we're lucky enough to live here, we're responsible for the safeguarding and stewardship of our undeveloped land. We can all understand the appeal for this developer, Mr. Goodwin, when he thought he discovered the last remaining undeveloped and unprotected parcel nearest to Los Angeles. We know because we all live here. We walk the bluffs, and we appreciate the tranquility that being engrossed in nature provides. Per the general plan, overall character of the bluffs is one of tranquility. It is the intent of the general plan to preserve the tranquil character of the Carpinteria Bluffs while allowing appropriate development to occur. The question really is, I guess, does a resort with 2 pools, a 7,000 square foot event barn, a 140 seat restaurant, a parking lot that goes both above and below ground, a residential development of 40 units, complete with I think the only 6-foot fence that I'm aware of in Carpinteria, is that appropriate to maintain the character of tranquility? Does this enhance the character of our small beach town? And while Mr. Goodwin has tried to convince us
Julia, can you wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Okay.
He's tried to convince us this is a preserve first and foremost. The story poles and actual plans show the truth. You can say farm and preserve in front of bungalows 1,000,000 times, but we can all see what's proposed. I'm certain that they're here to see what you guys will let them build. And if we stick directly to the general plan, we will never see a hotel on this parcel ever, and Mr. Goodwin should be clearly told that tonight. If the ARB can also hear the community's wishes that this land is protected from any development in line with sound community planning and stewardship of our small beach town character, there will never be anything built on these bluffs, ever. And our city and community should start working to preserve it with zoning changes if we need to. I hope Mr. Goodwin hears our community's call. He has the opportunity to help us protect this open space, or he can choose to fight our community against our own general plan. Thank you, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna limit the rest of the speakers to about a minute, and then you're done. Because everybody keeps reading the same thing. I beg your pardon? No, if you guys wanna sit here and draw it out, we'll draw it out, but you're all gonna have a minute. There's 300 people that still have to speak. Do the math. And then there's 250 online. Do the math. We'll be here all night. So, from now on, if they haven't. Leslie Gascon, well, no, you're here to speak to it, but we can limit the amount of time.
Good evening. I'll be very quick. My name is Leslie Gascoigne, and I appreciate that you volunteered to do this job for our community. I really do. There are so many reasons why this project is incompatible with Carpinteria's general plan. However, I'd like to bring your attention to the increased traffic risk from this development. The two separate entrances and exits will inevitably require at least one traffic light, if not several. This is a pertinent consideration for the ARB because it is a visual impact to the view corridor, as well as a substantial change to the rural character of Carpinteria Avenue and the Bluffs. A traffic light will extend the urbanization of our city, and it will feel like a downtown intersection. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. That was very pertinent. I appreciate it. Mike Wondolowski, and then Susan Mailhart. Mike Wondolowski, where are you, Mike? Mike Wondolowski, Susan Mailhart? Okay. Let's see. Drew Purdon. Oh, you're here. Okay, there you go.
I am, yes.
You're Susan.
I am Susan
You're
Mayhew.
definitely not Mike.
Yes,
Okay, go
and
ahead.
thank you. Thank you for this forum. So I came here tonight directly from the Harbor Seal Overlook. When I stand at the overlook, I look to the north to see the beautiful mountains. I see the bluffs. I see the windrows on the east and the west. Sometimes I even see the raptors. When I look to the south, I see the ocean and Channel Islands. The essence here can't be duplicated. It can certainly be destroyed. It's no coincidence that this is the home of one of the last remaining harbor seal rookeries in Southern California. The story poles pierce that neighborhood and jarringly portray all the many man-made structures that are going to ruin this. To try to speed this up, documentation of harbor seal colonies shows that human disturbances create a serious threat to this pinniped species because their required haul out to land places them in danger of land threats. Unlike sea lions, they cannot readily escape on land. This resort will bring hundreds and hundreds of people. The Harbor Seal Rookery brings thousands because they love the tranquility here and to see a wild species on an unspoiled land. Once it is a sprawling city, it will be like going to the zoo. It will lose its essence. The harbor seals are likely to leave because of this development. They are a sentinel apex species of the Channel Islands ecosystem, and the loss of this colony is too much to risk due to this proposed urban expansion.
Okay, thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike Wondolowski.
I'm Mike Wondolowski, speaking for Carpinteria Valley Association. We submitted a detailed letter to the board. I trust that the members reviewed that letter. It responded to each of the questions that staff is asking you to comment on tonight, and included our comments. Bottom line, we find the project has significant inconsistencies with the general plan policies as well as the Carpinteria Municipal Code. Tonight, so I won't comment on the details tonight, but I will mention that the applicant's presentation mentioned that the project is better than the previous project in these various ways. I'll just simply say that a very terrible project does not make a terrible project any better. It needs to be measured, tonight's project needs to be measured against the general plan. Throw away whatever they threw at us before, that's irrelevant. And finally, it's disappointing the applicant filibustered tonight and used 30 minutes instead of 15 and took the time from 15 public commenters out here. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's one of the reasons. Okay, Drew Purdon, followed by Art Merrill.
I want to thank everyone being here tonight and for your time. I spent hours writing this. It takes me about 3 minutes, and I'll try to be as quick as I can.
I'm not going to give you 3.
Okay, give me 2 then. I want to thank those wearing a green shirt in support of saving the Bluffs. I was here in this same room on March 30th, 2022, and I believe at that time the community made its voice heard, from environmental activists, people of Chumash descent, business owners, and lifelong Carpinterians. I am only a local of 9 years, but I have grown to love this town for what it is. It is a shame that we have to waste more time and money on this topic. I have heard the statements about this proposed plan from this LA developer, and you can call it whatever you want, but this is a luxury resort allowing limited amount of public events and public parking. Design looks nothing like anything in town. I want to make this clear. Carpinteria is not here for your profit. This city does not want to resort in the Bluffs, and this town will fight back against this monstrosity at every twist and turn. I can see the story poles from my condo across the highway. It's a depressing sight. The thought of them being permanent structures makes my blood boil. I'm not convinced this plan has taken into account the scale and resources needed to fit into Carpinteria. The environmental impact of the steel rookery, the water to sustain all proposed operations, historical references, community approval, or the ability to find a workforce to fit your needs. I do not believe anyone here wearing a green shirt that in the hundreds outside or joining us virtually would seek employment, let alone be patrons of this resort. The promise being made to local businesses is if you build it, they will come. The resort will need to pay well above top dollar to entice locals to seek employment. Business owners, these are your current employees. It begs the question, what local businesses have been asked to partner with these developers? Were those partnerships fair and favorable? The Miramar sat vacant for years when it failed. Once we build this, it never goes away. We will waste years and years on these buildings. Where's the culture? All the renderings have been spoke about today have no history of this town. The Chumash deserve to be represented. Water, yes, the roads have been quite wet over the fair share of the last year. What about the next drought? Does the Carpinteria water basin have the resources to support a fully functional resort while taking away from its citizens? We will not let you take our water. Natural habitat. We will continue to kill this planet if all we do is build. Give the animals a place to live. Let us be able to enjoy nature for what it is truly meant to be. Adding lighting of any brightness is light pollution. What are these native California plants you want to reintroduce over invasive species? Why haven't you taken the opportunity to partner with the Santa Barbara Botanical Gardens and continue to preserving this natural preserve? You speak of the grading of the land and being in a natural state. This can be done now without building new structures. Redo Tea Time, make it a new facility and well kept. It has constant business from all over and is currently supporting local business, children, and outdoor activities. Yet it isn't the dollar signs that you were hoping for, but it would be a positive return on investment for when you have to sell this land for a loss. The recreational possibilities of this area with a driving range next to a skate park and near a baseball field, let this remain as open space. In closing, I'll say this. Carpinteria is in an identity crisis if this project is approved. We need to build into Carpinteria for what we want the next generations to see. Slow building of establishments and venues, localized businesses and developments, not everything under the sun and packaged in a high nightly price tag. In Monopoly, you have to build 4 houses before purchasing a hotel. We need housing, not resorts. We have tourism because of what Carpinteria already is. This is a beach town, an old California beach town, a relic. Do not destroy this city. Thank you.
I want you to stay and talk for everybody else here. We'll get done in about a half hour. All right, Bart Merrill, Whitney Abbott, Susan Allen. Remember, Susan, you're behind Whitney. Go ahead.
Good evening. All right. I wanted to start this evening by quoting the Carpinteria General Plan, Sub-Area 6. It has long been a community goal to avoid piecemeal development of the Bluffs and to ensure that future developments within the Bluffs area complement each other. So this stuck out to me. Specifically, I would like to refer to the farm area labeled Hospitality Farm Plot, which is the map on the right side. This green shaded area is also directly on top of the subterranean parking structure accessed by the road to the south. A piecemeal development project is one that attempts to incorporate multiple structures with multiple purposes and without adequately addressing the intention of each. How is it possible to have a viable farm on top of a parking structure? Irrigation and drainage issues will ultimately arise. Adding to these concerns, there's an existing 10-inch cement drainage pipe put in when the property was ranched years ago. It currently functions as drainage, and it is under the proposed parking area. So this piecing together of proposals is unprecedented in Carpinteria and would set a very bad standard, disregarding the guidelines articulated in the Carpinteria General Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Ellen, oh, you remembered, okay. And now Nathan Prett, followed.
Susan Allen, you gave us a speaker slip that said we could speak for an organization. I chose speaking for future generations. I know silently they will thank us that we were here tonight and took the time. Quoting from the general plan, the Carpinteria General Plan and Local Coastal Use Plan, referred to as the General Plan, is the primary planning document for the city. It represents the community's collective vision for preserving and improving the quality of life in the Carpinteria Valley. Carpinterians have a strong sense of identity with a rich and colorful history. The fertile soils of the Carpinteria Valley and its safe and scenic coastline have provided ideal living conditions for thousands of years. The relative isolation of Carpinteria has enabled it to remain one of the last small rural Southern California coastal communities. It is the community's desire to maintain its small beach town lifestyle while accommodating appropriate balance of economic vitality. The goal of the community is to preserve the essential character of our small beach town, its family-oriented residential neighborhoods, its unique visual and natural resources, and its open and rural surroundings, while enhancing recreational, cultural, and economic opportunities for the citizens, close quote. The general plan is not just your guide, but indeed the law to follow. Sorry, children are texting me. But indeed the law to be followed carefully, along with reading the staff report. A thorough study and understanding of our community-written general plan is vital to your decision tonight. The following objectives must be met. CDS 6-A, B, C, D, E, and F, and implementation policies for Bluffs 1, 57 through 89 should be followed carefully. The story poles erected on the land only give a partial representation of what is to come. On this map, the black represents the story poles, the red all the other structures that cover the land. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lenny, would you leave that as a, please? Thank you. Okay, Nathan. Nathan? There you are. And then Gail Marshall. And then Julia.
Not present. She's not present.
Huh?
Gail Marshall is not present.
Not present. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Who do we got here? We got Nathan, sorry. And this is Dustin Hodge. Will be next. Yes, Nathan.
Hi, my name is Nathan Pratt. I live on Kai Pacific in Carpinteria. I've been surfing Rincon since 1971. I was very young when I started surfing there. I'll bring up a few points that other people have not yet mentioned. Just as a bit of background, I was the Director of Development, Global Development for International Coffee and Tea in the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf stores, and I've been in real estate since I was after college. So I've seen all this before. And this is a typical greenwash, and it violates, I just went through your policy analysis of it all, and I'll just read off all the violations I can find. And but even before that, though, I will say, just so everyone understands, this is a massive development. This is not a small development. I figured it's going to be 200 to 250 million minimum to put this together. At an 8% return, the investors are going to want to pull in about a gross of $100,000 to $150,000 a day. Divide that by 100 rooms, you see what kind of development this is. So, which is fine, but just not here. This is why everyone lives here, is because you don't like that stuff. None of us do. Going through your project analysis, number one, the Carpinteria Municipal Code forbids this project. It says here you have 4 reasons to do PUD zoning. 3 of them are housing, and the big quote is a small portion of the parcel to be developed. This development is spread now from Carpinteria Avenue almost all the way to the railroad tracks. What? I mean, that's what it is. And they sliced a little farm area off to the side there to maybe give you a 20% view through the property and 80% blockage. So it's going to be a massive impact on, and that obviously goes to your view corridor issues. And another one is on the trees, the 108 trees they want to pull out. Those all block the views of the Santa Barbara Mountains from this project. If I was the project developer, I'd want to pull those trees too and have nice open views all the way around. It ups your room rate quite a bit. I'm trying to keep it all, there's a million objectives. It doesn't meet any of the objectives. The land use element, the community design element, all these elements are not being met at all. You have a million different hooks to hang your hat on to deny this development. So I would say you should deny the development in total tonight, and we should just stop this whole conversation right here. Thank you very much.
Dustin, welcome. Oh, sorry. Oh, you broke it.
There we go. All right, I'm going to try and keep this to a minute. I cut down here. Hello, thank you for your time. My name is Dustin Hoyseth. I'm the Public Policy Manager with the Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber of Commerce, and we represent business from Goleta to Carpinteria. The Chamber's aim is to ensure a healthy business community and economic success throughout the region. I know they're not clapping for me. I'm here tonight to express the Chamber's support for the Carpinteria Farm Preserve and Bungalows project. I first learned about this project when I met Matt over 2 years ago. Matt was on a mission to meet with as many community groups as possible in order to get feedback on the project. As part of that mission, Matt has presented to our Public Policy Committee, made up of local business representatives from across the South Coast, 3 different times, and to our Carpinteria Business Committee once. All 4 times, the project received an official vote of support from the Chamber and the business representatives. This project will be a major economic driver for the city of Carpinteria. It will create new jobs. It will encourage more visitors to come to Carpinteria and support local business. And it is estimated to generate $2 million a year in general fund revenue for the city. It will do all of this while maintaining 90% of the property as open space. And for the Chamber, under our mission, this has always been a project that made sense. And then I don't know how I'm going on time, but I just wanted to say one other thing, that through my personal role at the Chamber, I get to look at all of the different cities and the county and their interactions with the state as part of the housing element process. And I know this isn't a palatable thing to say, but I just have concerns if it isn't this project, what will eventually go here as the state continues to crack down on local jurisdictions and limit local control. So.
Okay, thank you. Now, Dustin, you got your opinion, which is fine, so do you need an escort out of here? I'm sorry. Hey, a little levity goes a long way. Come on. Okay, Christy Boyd, Arturo Teo. Arna Crittenden.
Good evening, Christy Boyd. Let me thank the city and the ARB for allowing us this discussion. I know it's overwhelming, but our community feels overwhelmed by this project. I have a 1-year-old Labrador puppy that needs lots of exercise. We consider ourselves lucky to live in a community that boasts wide open beaches and our treasured Bluffs 1, 2, and 3 properties. Luna, my Labrador, and I frequent these open spaces daily. On our latest January walks, we have been accosted by the story poles erected on the Tea Time property and the Bluffs 1 property. In order to see the full impact of this massive development, we have been walking the entire project, circling it on all sides. We start on the eastern perimeter, we continue on the southern perimeter, and then move on to the western and northern perimeters. Our community has walked and driven along Carpinteria and been shocked by the very visual destruction this project impacts on our beloved ocean views. The small sliver of ocean view along the eastern portion of the proposed development is insufficient at best. It was not until Luna and I walked along the southern boundary that I realized the destruction of the mountain views. The city's staff report on page 11 clearly states the California Coastal Act. The design of the community shall, not should, but shall, be consistent with the desire to protect views of the mountains and the sea. This project is wholly inconsistent with this mandate. The massive buildings are placed on all portions of the 27.5 acres. In addition, this development is completely contradictory to our general plan policy that states, quote, all structure, including ancillary structures, shall, again, note the shall word, be appropriately placed so as to minimize their obtrusiveness and to maintain existing view corridors. Existing views from Baylord Avenue, Carpinteria Avenue, and US 101 shall be preserved. Even Luna the Labrador can see the inconsistency between these mandated policies and what is being proposed. We beg you to deny this proposed development as it makes a mockery of the good planning that Carpinterians have come to rely on for our small working class community. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Architectural Review Board. I imagine that you volunteer your time and experience to this important advisory board because you care about Carpinteria and want to ensure that the community is protected from bad decisions to the extent possible. I am very grateful for your service, and even though I realize that you are not the final word on what is or is not allowed to be built in our city, I hope that you will endeavor to recommend only the very best projects which enhance and not diminish the wonderful atmosphere of our very special community. Now that's true for the whole community, but for this parcel, my God, this is the very heart and soul of the community. It really is. And your job here is very easy because nothing can be built there without destroying it, desecrating it, making it sacrilege, and eventually destroying our town as a whole. It is the heart of the community, and I'm very mindful of hearts right now because last September 12th, I had a quintuple bypass surgery. So I was in very real danger of having a massive heart attack. And this is what this would do. Eventually, the amount of events, weddings, just regular guests, and just the amount of people in the restaurant, this is going to be a clogged up artery in our community. And, you know, I hope that you will be good surgeons like I had, and you'll perform this bypass and just bypass this whole thing. The developer's name is Goodwin, but this would be a terrible loss for Carpinteria. Please don't allow it.
Okay, thank you. Arna, then we got Jessica Patil.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Arna Crittenden. I live in Sandpiper. And what I have to say about this is ditto. Secondly, I want to say this is the most tragic thing that is going to happen to our community. Not only is it disrespectful to our Chumash people, it's going to be tragic in ways of people being injured out there, crossing tracks, heading to the bluffs, people swimming, participating in the oceans without proper lifeguarding. But other than that, I just don't think it's appropriate. It's not appropriate for our children here. I don't think the jobs that it brings will enhance our community. And there's nothing there that we can build upon for the future. So I would really hope that you turn this down and really think about the safety and prevent this tragedy from happening to our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jessica Petrillo, followed by Marcus Alpazar, and then Holly Miner.
Hello, my name is Jessica Petrillo, and I live here in Carpinteria along with my husband and our 2 young kids. I want to say that I appreciate the gravity of the decisions being made here because Carpinterians like myself treasure the Bluffs and deeply value the wide open space. I feel so grateful to get to live here and raise my kids here. My feedback on this proposed development is a bit different from the majority because the issue that makes me the most heartsick about this town is the lack of affordable housing. I know the committee's job is to review architectural elements and designs, so I won't get too technical talking about arenas and housing elements, but I think it is important context to point out that the city's projected capacity to build affordable housing compared to the needs is grim. Of course I value open space, of course I cherish the Bluffs, but my biggest concern is whether my kids will be able to live here in their hometown when they're adults. As far as the design elements for this project, architecture is outside of my wheelhouse, but I appreciate that the plan includes permanent public open space. I hope that the city formalizes agreements in a way that ensures that the public open space remains public and the affordable housing remains affordable. Regarding design for the affordable housing, People Self-Help Housing is a well-respected affordable housing developer that already has 4 properties in Carpinteria. I love mixed-use projects. I'm excited by this partnership that's proposing to build 40+1 units of affordable housing in our community that it desperately needs. Thank you.
Microphone, sorry. Marcus Alpazar, and then Holly Miner, and then Kylie Lopez. Kelly Lopez.
Good evening. My name is Holly Miner, and I'm pleased to be here tonight, and I want to thank each of you for listening to all of us in what we have to say and share about what we want for where we live in our community. So I enlisted our son, who's 14, who was born here in Carpinteria, and just for some comments about what do you think about this proposal, what do you think about the story polls, and here are some of his comments. He used the word mar the community, which I thought was pretty impressive, an impressive word for a 14-year-old to use. And he said, our family has enjoyed walking and biking on the Bluffs for decades. The Bluffs are a unique and diverse ecosystem that deserves to stay undeveloped. The community members that live here in Carpinteria and that stay in Carpinteria, we're here because we value the unique beach to mountain environment and the open space in our community. And I'm going to say that again. Our community members live in Carpinteria and stay in Carpinteria because of what we value in the environment. The unique beach to mountain environment and the open space. We value the animals who live here, and this development would create an eyesore for our community and once again mar our land. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly Lopez, and then Lauren Mickelson, and then Noah Owens.
Hakuli Yakuku, Lele Kakti, Kapapane Shumolok, Hisuchtun, Eswachul. One of my traditional villages is in Santa Barbara, and the other is on the Santa Cruz Island, which this project will totally obscure the view from our Carpinteria people who see this view every day. Respectfully, you guys, if we take too much time, you guys are gonna have to sit here a few hours. If this project happens without our voices being heard, we'll be out there for days or months, however long it takes to keep this land safe, so you're gonna sit here and hear us. And I'm not gonna do a ditto because you guys have ignored us time and time and again, so we'll continue to speak. The task of being in this room today is not one of privilege or honor, but of disappointment. Disappointment that we're here yet again to say the same thing we've been saying for 200 years along this coast and over 20 years for the specific village that's being threatened again. It seems so simple to ask, hear a no, and to never ask again, but here we are. This village has existed long before the greed and destruction brought here by these government agencies and imposed on the land. We thought we protected this site already. My people of art have had ceremony on these bluffs for millennia, and accommodations for elite tourism and millionaire housing, regardless of how affordable this is saying that it's going to be, it will go up. This is gentrification happening before our eyes. These millionaire housings and elite tourism have pushed us out of our territories to this day, and to build a resort in a place where my people still do ceremony would be in violation of the American Indian Religious Freedom Act of 1978, which ensures Indigenous people the access to sacred sites. And from what it looks like, walking in this building where you have our most sacred ceremonial symbols right as we walk in the door on the wall, it seems you should respect our ceremonies more than to propose this destruction again. To put story poles up before this project has even been approved is disrespectful and nothing but fear-inducing to the community who cares. We have already seen in our communities how solar awnings disrupt the presence of our local bird species, and not to mention the construction that'll push them out with the sound and everything, as well as the wildlife that already has a scarce amount of coastal land to come to. We demand that you as people in power see this flood of people and is a call to action to you to stand with us and do everything you can to stop this bluff killer from going up. We will continuously push back on this, and we will not stop until that land is safe. And I heard you say that you wanted, I'm speaking to the applicant, if you wanted your kids to run around and be on free land. There's so much free land in the mountains. There's so many places you can go. We don't need to build buildings so that you can run in nature in between them. That makes no sense. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Laura Mickelson. And then we've got Noah Owens. We got Gavin Spears. Oh, there you are.
Today I had the privilege, the ultimate privilege of 2 walks in the Carpinteria Bluffs. I was reminded of a Robert Frost poem. 2 roads diverged in wood, and I took the one less developed, and it has made all the difference. I urge you as members of the ARB that you think your preview here is just architectural and just to look at the color palette of this development. It is not. It is your obligation, your true obligation as a committee member here, a moral obligation to maintain what the citizens of Carpinteria want. It will create 122,211 square feet of structural development right in front of your eyes, blocking all the views. And if you want to talk about architectural reviews, what about the parking? Okay, the city requires 292 parking spaces, but they only propose 273 parking spaces, a deficit of 19 parking spaces. Oh, then we'll build a subterranean garage, which is 52,662 square feet, which will require how many thousand cubic square yards of concrete? Although you require an individual homeowner to put in only permeable driveways and take out their concrete. It doesn't make any sense. The parking study shows that there's only adequate parking for weekday events, but not for special or barn events. The project proposes to pursue a reciprocal agreement with the site on Carpinteria to shuttle and provide transport to visitors from the project site. Where are the shuttles coming from? A retirement home or Albertsons? Parking lot? Bringing more traffic down Carpinteria Avenue into the city? Don't worry, the developer says. Visitor parking, you'll have parking. You get 10 spaces. Yay, thank you. Okay, another point I make. The solar array. Did the solar project at the Sandpiper Mobile Home Park prove to be compatible with open space for those people that live there? You adamantly said no. That was wrong to put those solar arrays in their home. You didn't let them do it. You just said no. We would not support a solar project that has 130 panels of commercial solar, 204 panels of residential solar, less than 5 feet in front of the affordable housing units. How does that make sense? There's 800 square feet or more of carport panels, approximately 620 square feet of solar panning along Carpinteria Avenue. And the public access and trails? No, it's not going to be granted to the city. Per the plan, it says that we want to maintain that part of the property. We want to maintain control. So I ask you as ARB members, it is not just your preview for the architectural or the color palette or the wood that we put into the development here. But instead, I want to let me paint the picture of your legacy if you let this go through. Friday night, traffic from a wedding or a barn event, noise that flushes the seals forever into the ocean, no herons to view, never a gray fox to see, no birds of any kind, elimination of the crotch bumblebee on sight, and no soaring views of hawks flying over that land. But instead, a visual hotel monster with tourists scattered between their two special open bluff spaces, clamoring for the next Instagram selfie with the seals and ocean below.
Gavin, and Antonio Robertson.
All right, thank you all for being here and for taking the time to listen to us. It means a whole lot. Carpinteria is my home. I haven't lived here my whole life, but I have seen Carpinteria as interconnected. And the Bluffs, that's my safe place, okay? I took a phone call at the Carpinteria Bluffs on Earth Day 2023 from the pastor of my church, Family Baptist Church. The phone call was offering condolences in the loss of my father, who passed away earlier that day. I was looking at the seals when I took that phone call. I have never lived in a place with so many loving people, never. I found each and every seal sanctuary volunteer. I talked to Susan at the sanctuary just a few days ago. Everything she says, I won't mention anything more because she put it the best that I could. The thing is that I love those seals. And you know what? I want to tell you something that hasn't been shared yet. I have a lot of concerns about people like me, or just people even, that have challenges with being around lots of people that probably couldn't sit in this room because of it. The thing is like, when I go down to the Bluffs, that's a safe place for me. If we have all of these people coming around and just more access instead of the separated parking lots and you have to walk a mile to get there from the campground, I'm concerned it's going to look like every Saturday in the summer that is packed or you can't even park in that main lot. And so I think the thing is I just want to make it known that there are people that will really hurt from that. And you know what, I think if we, the people at Carpinteria, can be so loving that I think we can find a better solution. And you know what, if it involves modifying this, we accept it, you know what, let's find something that works for more people. And so thank you for listening. And I just want to ask one final question is what's being proposed contributing to the sacred? Because the presence of those seals sure does. Thank you for letting me share.
Hey, Gavin.
All right. Thank you so much for bearing through everyone's wonderful comments. It has been a gift to be able to hear everybody's love for this land. It is shared by me as well. The children, to start off, brought tears to my eyes. It is truly beautiful because at one point I was one of those children. My very first memories are on those bluffs. I fell in love with the love of my life under the dark stars on a new moon listening to those seals. Who will not have that opportunity to have those experiences if construction takes place, disruption to the seal rookery disrupts their population and their habitat? And furthermore, this has been a long meeting. And in this time, honestly, this is the first time that I've been in this city hall. There's lots of images on the walls previously mentioned of Chumash people that have been here for tens of thousands of years, since time immemorial. You honor their legacy on your walls, but will you honor the legacy of the voices present in this room today of Chumash elders, Chumash youth, Chumash people of the community? I'm angered that I have to even recommend the dismissal of this project, but please find it in your good conscience to recommend the dismissal and preserving this land, and respecting the sacred. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Antonio Robertson, Mary McWhirter, and then Jason Herrera? Yeah. Antonio Robinson.
She's coming from the outside.
Oh, Antonia, I'm sorry. Antonia and Mary McWhirter, work your way up here. Whoever gets here first is on. Jason Herrera. Who's this Garrett Tuck? Oh. Watch him. Yep. Oh, that's Mary McWhirter. Come on, Mary.
Hi, Brad.
Hi.
Long time.
Long time. But a short period.
Yes, short period.
Just our kids are getting older.
Okay. Okay, I've lived here, my name's Mary McWhirter. I've lived here for almost 50 years. I met my husband on the beach here. I want to talk about the Carpinteria Farm Preserve and bungalows. To me, it's not intellectually honestly presented in its title. So I'm picturing little cottages and a farm. But it's actually the Bluffs Resort and Spa, you know, and there's 90 rooms. Those are a lot of travelers. So it meets the need of travelers. The bungalows are going to meet the needs, hopefully, I don't understand how, but are going to meet the needs of about 40 new homeowners, which doesn't make a dent in what the state's been wanting to, you know, have us do. Carpinteria is 1 mile wide from the ocean to Foothill, and the freeway's through half of that. And so, you know, we're 5 miles long, but most of that's agricultural, so, and as it should be. You know, that's the original intent of Carpinteria. Our first people here, besides the Indians, were agriculture. So this last thing, I'll be quick. This development, to me, I'm open to development. Not everyone is. I appreciate nice architecture, and so I did appreciate the renderings that I've seen and all that. But this project does not benefit our community. And I'm just setting aside the beautiful bluffs. I'm just saying this, if there's anything going to be built on there, it should be, because this land is worthy of the best, if you're going to have something. And it benefits travelers, those aren't Carpinterians. It benefits 40 new little bungalow owners. And the farming is more like a token, just to check the box so you can say it's a farm. And I don't see this benefiting Carpinteria. And I'm not anti-growth, I'm not in your backyard. It's just, you know, I can't support this project because it's a nice project for the wrong location. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to get in here where it's a little bit warm.
Okay, who are you? You're
I'm
Antonia?
Antonia Robertson,
Oh, good call.
and I'm a local resident, and I walk the Bluffs very frequently, and I think this proposed development is an absolute travesty for all the reasons other people have pointed out, that it's not in keeping with the general plan for Carpinteria, and it's totally inappropriate for such an incredibly beautiful oceanside setting with the seals and the mountains in the background. Everything's so beautiful, and really I think it would weigh very heavily on your consciences if you let this go forward. It's way too, no development would really be appropriate in my mind. I think it should be rezoned so it cannot be built upon, but in addition to that, the proposed development is way too big, way too tall, way too much cut and fill. It's really off the rails. So I beg you, as other people have, and I had the idea that it's by the people for the people in this country, and everyone out there is overwhelmingly against the project. So please give it a lot of thought and do not permit it to go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Three resorts. I opened up Miramar. I'm having open Miramar. I just observe in this plan a number of guest and employee safety concerns, security as well. Too many to note. Don't have the time for that right now. But the parking chaos that you guys see outside right now, that's exactly what's going to happen if this resort opens. It's exactly what we deal with at Miramar, and after 5 years, I'm no longer there, but after 5 years, we still can't get a hold of it. And the neighbors are pissed, and rightfully so. That property is owned by a billionaire, and they still cannot figure it out. This is going to be Miramar Part 2. They have 5 stars, and it's irrelevant because the employees there do not care. You're going to have events at this hotel. There might be buyouts, and you guys aren't going to turn those down because that's going to be a lot of money. But you're going to have employees parking in and around the hotel. And up at Viola Field, they're going to park over in Legoland. It's going to become a disaster here. And Deputy Dickey and his team are going to be busy with people doing stupid things. I've dealt with it before, and I've seen it. People drinking, driving. There's no place for it. And again, it's going to become Miramar Part 2. And I do not think you guys want that here. And that's why I left that resort, because they cannot get a handle on it. And I feel for the neighbors because there's just constant promises. And when something doesn't work at this resort, the developers, the investors are going to want to do something new, and then we're going to be back here again trying to add something else. I've seen it. I've dealt with it for the past 5 years, and it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I'm an expert in this field, and I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And Mr. Goodwin has a good plan, but just not here. There are plenty of other places to go and open up a resort. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Garrett Tuck, Spencer Jimenez, Annie Arch.
I'll keep it short and sweet. My name's Garrett Tuck. I was born and raised in this community. Me and my wife just had triplet boys who are currently in the NICU, and I should actually be there with my boys. But I'm so passionate about this project not going forward. I wanted to voice that. I do want to thank you for galvanizing the community around something that we are very passionate about. There's an age-old quote that says, "The only constant in life is change." And us as Carpinterians have really felt that change, especially over the last 10 years. And the change of this resort is just something that we're not willing to stand for. Those lands are sacred. They're sacred lands that shouldn't be touched. I feel strongly about that. Funny enough, tonight is the full moon. It's called the Wolf Moon. The reason why it's called the Wolf Moon is because during this moon, wolves are usually howling more often than not. I think those howling wolves are the ancestors rejecting this project. I don't think that's in vain. I did want to speak to some of the finer details of the comments on the determination of the application, but I'll save you that. And I do think we should just bring it back to the general plan, and the real discussion needs to be had around the general plan. And I do want to finally say that the renderings were beautiful. You did great work there, but yeah, not in our town. Thank you.
Spencer.
He's not here. He left.
Ah, too much clapping. No, Annie Bird.
She left, but she told me to just say no.
Third seat. Way to go. I got that. Thank you. Okay, we got Sarah Grew, sorry. Robert Mayer. Sure. Hey, listen, I wreck everybody's name. Trust me.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Thank you all so much. I've served in government. I know how much time and it takes away from your families, and I appreciate all of you very much. I live down the street, just a couple blocks, and I'm representing my family of 5 Carpinterians. I have 3 young children that frequent the skate park, and I see how many kids are on their bikes and skateboards and walking, and how unsafe I feel like this project would be for our children of our community. I'm an event planner also. I work at the Miramar constantly and Bacara, and I just want to echo that I feel very concerned about the amount of traffic that will be generated by not only the residents, their guests, events with like box trucks pulling in, vendors that need parking. It's just not sufficient. And so it's going to be parking that impacts my neighborhood, our skate park usage, the recreation of the Bluffs. So I strongly urge you to reject this proposal for all the reasons that have been enumerated here tonight, but also for our kids. This is just really unsafe. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Robert Mayer. Bill Stennis afterwards.
Excuse me, Brent. I've been here
No,
since
can you please?
4:30, and I thought that was selected.
Well, we'll get to it. It's in there. I don't know. Just please sit. You got a grandstand. Anyway. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Robert Mayer. I was born and raised in Carpinteria, and I watched as the lemon orchards all around me got torn out for developments and housing, but they were for single homes that make up our community. This project does nothing to help our community, so you, the board, must turn it down. In closing, the owners ought to do the right thing and let the community buy this land. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Jill Stennis. And then we've got Jeffrey Jensen. And then Giddy White.
Good evening. My name is Jill Stasinos, and I've lived in Carpinteria for over 30 years. I'm opposed to this project due to its immense size and scale. I regularly walk and hike along the Carpinteria Bluffs, and I believe that it's important to preserve the Bluffs as open space. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jeffrey Jensen. Jeffrey Jensen. Giddy White. There you are, Jeffrey. Erica
Hey, neighbor.
Delaney.
How many bad words am I allowed to use? None?
As many as you want.
You don't want offensive language spoken in here?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard a lot of it when we were hearing about the proposed thing, so I'm just making sure. I'm just, you know. Yeah, I think if the people planning this thing care about this community at all, they just give it back to the community and let us just keep it unsmirched, besmirched. I'm not sure how to smirch something or not smirch something, but I'm not really interested in any kind of smirching happening over there. And also, I think Rincon's pretty crowded enough, and they haven't said anything about shuttles coming from that place to bring all the people with their carbon fiber surfboards and their neon wetsuits to come surf Rincon. We don't need them. This was also one of the last places my dad saw in his life. He rode his bike right past there minutes before he took his last breaths, just a few 100 yards away. And as far as I'm concerned, that's his final resting place, and I'll be damned if I don't do everything I can to oppose this. And yeah. Also, some technical things. One of the things I noticed is in that little blue and red thing you had going on. I'm looking at Brad because I've known him since I was 4. He's been my neighbor since then.
Born.
So, yes, he was at my baptism. Yes, this little bit right here. So we see the story poles, but they're talking about grading that land up, and those story poles are all pretty tall already. And if they're grading that land up, then I think those buildings are gonna be a little taller, and that don't feel so good to me. Last but not least, this ain't their field of dreams to besmirch. It's ours to protect. I yield my time. Thank you.
Don't use the word damned anymore. Okay, Giddy White. Erica Delaney, what was that now? And then Kathleen Lord. Yes.
Good evening. Here we are again, and we're here again. I mean, there's no way around it. This is a pretty presumptuous proposal. And the reason it's presumptuous is because it disregarded what happened the last time the developer was here. And it's just like, what are you going to do? Keep coming back with massive size, bulk, and scale, and a hodgepodge of incompatible uses that are inconsistent with the open space of the Bluffs. And that seems to be it. If you don't hear what you like, ignore it and come back, and make us all come back en masse. And I mean, this just feels like a far less than half-hearted attempt at greenwashing. We're being told that clear-cutting the site, removing 108 mature trees, destroying the windrows our community has sought to protect that are iconic for the Bluffs, and altering the natural landforms is preservation. And we're being told that radically reducing the scale of agricultural cultivation and surrounding it with incompatible uses is sustainable and permaculture. That's not true. And, you know, the developer has not unified a vision and said, hey, I'm going to actually build a sustainable resort, which would be far more compatible in size, bulk, and scale if it were truly sustainable. Or I'm going to be a farmer and seek about, you know, adopting permaculture practices and reading some Fukuoka and trying to make use of the property. He's saying, I want to do everything but the kitchen sink in this place that's so sacred to our community, and I want to have a clean slate for my vision, which means taking a bulldozer to the natural landforms, removing all the trees, and this is just not the right place for that. There's lots of places you can have a level, treeless expanse to, you know, create your vision, but perhaps the Bluffs is not the right place. And the disregard of our community, the disregard of our general plan, the disregard of the previous process we've been through is echoed with the disregard for this really precious land itself. You know, this is destruction, this is desecration, this is not preservation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Erica Delaney, Kathleen Lord, Kelsey.
Erica had to take her kids home.
Huh?
Erica took her kids home. She left.
Call her up. Okay, Kathleen Lord,
I think she walked out.
Kelsey Ann Kraus. Oh, got a book written here. Let's see. Thomas Mulroy. Okay, who's that?
I'm Kelsey.
Okay, Kelsey, you're up. Kathleen.
Hi, I'm Kelsey, born and raised in Carp. My husband too, met in first grade. We love it here. Okay, a luxury resort on our Bluffs, no thank you. And I'm sorry, but over $300 a night is luxury to me, and probably most people in this room, and I know it's gonna be more expensive than that, so I'm calling it luxury. I urge you to take a spare moment to go park at the Baylard and Carpinteria ARB Bluffs parking lot. Park your car in the dirt lot, turn your phone to silent, hide it away, or better yet, just leave it in the car. Walk towards the west end of the parking lot, towards town. Take one of the dirt paths and just stroll. Sorry. Breathe in the fresh air, search the ground for critters. Listen to the eucalyptus tree leaves rustling in the wind. Let your hands brush along the tall, soft, unkept grasses. Enjoy the vibrant pops of yellow supplied by the native California daisies that sprinkle the pathway. Keep an eye out for sunbathing lizards, skipping rabbits, gliding herons, and butterflies fluttering by. Keep walking, keep listening, keep smelling, keep enjoying this glorious nature preserve as it is intended to be, untouched. Once you're in the middle of the vast field, stop. Do a 360-degree turn. Looking north, you see the San Ynez Mountains, their majestic size and natural face sheltering our valley. Looking east, you see the grasses, daisies, and Rincon Mountain in all her glory. Looking south, you see the Pacific Ocean framed by the Channel Islands. Looking west, you see a large open space speckled with charming farm fields, an outdoor school with a backdrop of trees. On your walk, you may see a few other nature enthusiasts enjoying the solitude of this space. You wave from afar to acknowledge how special this place truly is in this moment. Now, imagine your view west with buildings, lots and lots of buildings. Imagine a pool, a restaurant, apartments, bungalows, a spa, and people. Lots and lots of people. Imagine fencing, strategically placed boulders, unnatural landscape tactics designed to fit the aesthetic. Imagine golf carts carrying clean towels, gardeners maintaining the perfectly placed and perfectly trimmed grasses. Imagine that view of the Santa Ynez Mountains obstructed by a barn not meant to house animals, a barn meant for events. Now imagine music coming from that barn, people screaming, "Bum, bum, bum," when Sweet Caroline is playing by the DJ. Imagine the smell of burgers cooking in the restaurant and greasy fries being served poolside. Imagine guests of that luxury hotel heading your way, cocktail in hand, taking selfies, chasing bunnies, and littering on our nature preserve. Imagine our secret beach, which most of us know about. Secret, though, filled with people, messing with the sea snails, the crabs, and the anemones, as if it were their very own touch tank. The walk you used to take on the bluffs as an escape from your busy life has become a gauntlet of anxiety. A luxury resort on our bluffs? No, thank you.
Thomas Mulroy, he actually wrote his comments on here, so I'll keep this separate. And he submitted a letter, so. And Kathleen Reddington.
Thank you, Bradley. A couple ironies happened this evening. I got here early enough to get a parking place, and yet the people that I gave slips to somehow spoke 20 minutes or half an hour before me. Odd, Brad. Anyway, on another subject, I am very thankful that you took the portrait of the surf rider out of there. It seemed like a little bit of out of the hallway. It seemed like a little bit of a conflict of interest. So thank you. I called about it. And I'd also like to thank you all for staying till 8:30 at night, which is, I suppose, late for some people. And the developers for their attendance tonight. Oh, the other ironic thing is the last time I heard Matt Goodwin speak, he spoke on a project that he was doing in Malibu, and he said he was from Malibu. So I don't know. Anyway, little stuff, right? We are here to say no to yet another proposed development of our sacred, majestic, natural treasure, the Carpinteria Bluffs. This project is far too dense. The sight lines from the story poles show a scale that is not compatible, are similar to any other buildings in Carpinteria in style, size. We don't have a hotel this big. And to put it on the bluffs, well, I think it's blasphemy. Just flat out natural blasphemy. These are developers. They are not locals. Mr. Goodwin has invested in several projects in New York and Malibu. Mr. Goodwin actually lived in New York, as far as I can tell, for several years.
Kathleen, we don't want to talk about the development. Let's talk about the project what you're going for, please.
Okay, I'm going to talk about another term in real estate because I think people need to know this. All right? The term that I'd like to talk about very quickly is arbitrage. Arbitrage is defined as the simultaneous purchase and sale of an asset in order to profit from a different higher price. In essence, what Mr. Goodwin and his comrades are doing, they are going to be flipping this once they get all these things for a higher price. The project is backed by money that's never seen in Carpinteria. These investors and land speculators are proposing to destroy the Carpinteria Bluffs for money. These are what you call a REIT, which is Real Estate Investment Trust, created solely for profit. Not here, not Carpinteria, not our precious open space, not the Carpinteria Bluffs. In closing, no housing, please. No convention center, no hotel, no $1,000 a night getaway for Los Angelinos and beyond. I pray the community, that's why I said we're doing this again and again. I pray this community will once again prevail and preserve our open space and save the Carpinteria Bluffs forever. At this point, Mr. Goodwin, I hope you've heard all the testimony, and I suppose all we need to talk with you about is how much do you want? Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any more speaker slips? Okay. None?
Mr. Chair, should we take a break and see what our Zoom?
Well, I was going to say, let's take a break. And do.
No breaks, let's go.
How are you guys? Everyone here okay?
Go all night.
Like 1 minute to check our Zoom comments.
All right.
See who's
during
left
the
on
Zoom, during the Zoom, we may end up taking a break. So, I say. Four Zoom? 5 Zoom? Okay, let's go for it. 5 Zoom. Wow, out of 230 in the beginning. A lot of people went to bed early.
All right, Chair Stein, our first Zoom speaker is Maggie Burke. Maggie, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Matt Goodwin stated that his project or his aim is to be representative of the community. Who is in community with him? Whose voices, whose interests are prioritized? Who is left out? I wasn't able to see the stakeholders list on my screen, but does it include our Chumash neighbors? We should be working to embody their indigenous ways of being that sustained life for tens of thousands of years. He also went on to say, his ethos or aim is to help achieve a, quote, truly native state. So give the land, give the land back. To the suits in ties and flip-flops who are in favor of development, another world is possible, where everyone is safe, fed, housed, supported, heard. Not where the land is sold to the highest bidder. I'll email the rest of my comments, thanks.
All right, thank you. Next. This is weird talking to somebody that's not here.
All right, Chair Stein, the next person is Laura, no last name given. Laura, go ahead.
Hello, Laura.
Laura, you want to unmute yourself?
Laura, we're listening. Oh, that was Seattle.
Laura, are you there?
Going once, going twice. Let's go to next.
All right. Next one is Mara Sullivan. Mara, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. My name is Mara Sullivan. I'm a tribal member from Coastal Band of the Chumash Nation, one of the local tribes here who are concerned about the impacts to our heritage lands. In particular, I'd really like the board to look at environmental impact statements and environmental impact reports about this plan. And especially I'm concerned about the fill and like the digging out and the movement of mass amounts of topsoil. As many people know, a lot of these areas are sensitive archaeological sites. So I'm just really concerned about that, especially the timeline of these properties, of tea time and the existing properties, that there might not have been laws in place when those properties became properties. So I just really think that that's important to keep an eye on, making sure that, you know, these aren't sensitive sites that have been covered over for a long period of time. And then in terms of, it's not just about archaeological sites, these are current important sites to us. So I just wanted to bring it back into like the present and the future, that we're concerned about this ongoing as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Mara.
All right, next speaker is Emma Ralt.
Get out of Carpinteria,
Emma, go
we're
ahead.
gonna dig up our grave.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go for it, Emma.
Hi, yes. I'm calling from Los Angeles. I'm not a local Carpinteria citizen, but I have visited, and it is a piece of the coastline that is very precious to me. It's sacred and precious land. I live in Los Angeles. I know what an overdeveloped coastline looks like. I know what it means to build in places where it's unsafe to build, where it's unsustainable,
where it involves bulldozing over archaeologically sensitive areas, precluding ceremony, causing habitat fragmentation. All these things that decades of experience have taught us are not the way to go. And I heard the developer make his presentation earlier, and what I heard was a lot of kind of pulling wool over people's eyes and trying to split hairs over, is it a luxury resort or is it just a resort? And, oh, we're gonna have native plants. But at the end of the day, you're building to a scale so massive that it will dwarf anything in the area, it will despoil the nature, and it will completely eclipse the local community. And I just want to echo what other speakers have said as well. You need to be liaising with and listening to and respecting community stakeholders, and in particular tribal members, because you are on indigenous land. And that is particularly important as it pertains to the California coastline. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you.
Next Zoom speaker is Julie Sigwart. Julie, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Julie Sigwart. I live in Carpinteria and I've been here for a long time. I just wanted to make a quick comment that I know that we have a mandate to build, I think it's something like upwards of 900 housing units in Carpinteria by, supposedly that's our goal by 2030. I would submit that this project, this is primarily a resort. 41 housing units isn't going to go a long way at meeting this quota that we're supposed to be building to. And if this resort passes, we're going to have a resort, a little bit of housing, and then we're going to have to face a whole lot more housing in Carpinteria. This is unnecessary building, when we're already facing a crisis in housing and housing local residents. And this is something that is only going to contribute to make more traffic, create hazards on Carpinteria Avenue. Like looking at the plan, if you look at the entrance and exit to the apartments, that's going to create a hazard as far as people coming up and down Carpinteria Avenue, because it's going to be blind, and people trying to make a left turn out of that place are going to get T-boned on a regular basis. It's just not safe, and it's not what we need. And that's all I really need to say.
All right, thank you, Julie.
All right, next Zoom speaker is Davis Mercero. Davis, go ahead.
Hey, good evening, board. Thanks for your time tonight. I wanted to try and keep things to architecture, but I'll make some other points briefly. The first is, I think what's oftentimes lost in these types of discussions is compromise, and it's oftentimes 1 or 0 outcomes, or what feels like it, depending on which side you're on. I know that Mr. Goodwin thinks that compromise has been had, and overall, I really do genuinely think that his plan is thoughtful and dynamic. I do have concerns of what can come in place of this if it wasn't to be this plan, whether it was to be simply development in large-scale homes, whether they're affordable or not, on this land. I wish from the opposition side to development here that organization was perhaps swifter and more ready before the sale of this land. Why is it get to this point where city council doesn't step in before, where private land trust, before a developer has an opportunity? As it relates to the plan itself, I ditto what one of the gentlemen speakers tonight said about security concerns. I think that having that level of experience with something like the Miramar is such a good example of what can take place here. When you have this many structures and this many hotel guests, again, I think that in respect to the plan, it is relatively thoughtful, but still too large in scale, particularly as it relates to parking and the subterranean structure. I think that the separation from the affordable housing still from the road is perhaps too close. But overall, what I would simply say is that if this is a good plan, relatively speaking, for Mr. Goodwin, and there is elements to it, even on scale back or at this size, that work for a land of this size, why not it be somewhere else in Carp? Why does it have to, with so much opposition, be on the Bluffs that it is? And I understand the private sale of it, but perhaps there can be compromise there. And if this is pushed through by, and we get a plan like this, then I would simply urge Mr. Goodwin at this stage, as any other throughout this process, to simply be very aware of this opposition and understand that by putting this in here, it's not so much a community development at all, but there are things that this community still needs. Look at the high school, it needs a swimming pool. Look at other areas. And donating 6 events per year is a welcome gesture, but it doesn't provide what the community really needs. And there are other areas for that to take place. So I appreciate everybody's time tonight. I've been listening since the beginning too, so well done by all.
All right, thank you.
All right, next Zoom speaker is Chris Barton.
Chris Barton?
Yes.
Okay.
Chris, go ahead. Chris, you want to unmute yourself?
Okay.
Chris, are you available? All right. Chair, shall we go to the next?
I thought there were only 5. Where are these people coming from now? Yeah, go ahead. And then how many more do you have?
At this time, there are 7 more raised hands.
Okay. Are we still okay out here? Yep. Okay, let's go.
Okay. So the next Zoom speaker is Lucy Graham. Lucy, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name is Lucy Graham. I'm a resident here in Carpinteria, former City of Carpinteria employee, if you recall. But I'm speaking for myself and my family. I've been listening since the beginning. I think this is an interesting project that complies with existing zoning, and I appreciate that it's less dense than what would be allowed there. I know that we tend to think of this parcel as open space, but it's not, and I applaud the proposed dedication of open space. I certainly appreciate the affordable housing component. We sorely need housing for our residents and our employees. And I applaud the partnership with People Self-Help and Ken Triguero. They're an excellent local housing provider. I've worked with them before. I know how great they are, and I know they would do a good job. I recommend additional bike parking and covered bike parking for the residential component, and heck, for the hotel as well, above and beyond what's required by state law and local policy. As far as visual resources, I think the height of the single-story hotel building is higher than it needs to be and really higher than it should be. And I recommend that the developer look at that. And then finally, I'm concerned about the amount of cut and fill in the project, given the archaeological resources in this area, and the amount of fill required and how that affects the building height. So that's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next Zoom speaker is Rosemary Hall. Rosemary, go ahead. Rosemary, are you available?
Okay, next.
All right, next speaker is Brandon Bono. Brandon, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I just have one, obviously I'm a recent veteran of coming in front of the ARB, so thank you guys for being here. This is not something, obviously, Carpinterians want in their neighborhood, but I do have one question that obviously I don't need answered tonight by Mr. Goodwin. A farm stand sounds great. An organic, natural area sounds wonderful to Carpinterians. I just want to ask if you thought of maybe approaching the Motel 6 or the Holiday Inn Express, purchasing their land and repurposing it into something a little more beautiful. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right. Next Zoom speaker is Marissa Brownfield. Marissa, go ahead.
Hi, my maiden name is Martha Allen. I'm Susan Allen's daughter. I was not planning on speaking tonight, but I was very moved by the girls who originally got up and spoke, and I've been, of course, listening from the beginning and very involved, just due to the fact that I grew up in Carpinteria. Those girls brought back memories and me, which I think a lot of people have maybe seen. Ted Rhodes and I believe it was Ted Rhodes took a picture of me that was flying a kite along those paths, and it was shown in Alcazar Theater for many years. And that view would forever be ruined. And I want all of us to think about the generations to come and their view of what is Carpinteria Bluffs, including my children, my growing children. So I'm so proud of all the speakers who got up tonight and are stating their opinions and letting the board know. And thank you for your time tonight, because this is it's our future, just like everyone else has said. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Marissa. Can't believe you have children.
All right, the next Zoom speaker is Brianna Cervantes. Brianna, go ahead.
Hello. I actually showed up in person today, but I couldn't find parking, so now I'm on Zoom. Thank you for being here. I mostly wanted to echo what everyone else was saying about opposing the building, and just add that these kinds of buildings and developments attribute to the displacement not only of animals but also indigenous people, and displaces us from our ancestral lands. So I just wanted to add that, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next Zoom speaker is Penelope, no last name given. Penelope, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Penelope Lewis, and I am here not just for myself, but my family. I am a Carpinteria resident, and I have quite a bit of family also here. And I want to share that I was on my way to work. I take the bus, and one of my favorite views is of the Bluffs. And I saw the signs of the blue flags that means construction is going up at the golf course, and a sense of terror crept up. And I still carry that today as I'm talking to you guys. Once I looked up and searched what was going on, I was so crushed to see that a resort, and let's be honest, a resort is a luxury. So a luxury resort was being planned to be built there, taking a large chunk of our land that I have grown up to enjoy, is absolutely soul crushing. So I stand with many community members in opposition for this, and I'm very emotional about it because this can't happen. We know what you see. You see money signs. You see a gorgeous view of not just the ocean and the islands beyond the oceans, but also the mountains. And you can tell us what you want, paint it as it will be good for the community. We know what you're seeing. You're seeing money signs. And I want this not to happen. And I want to thank you for listening to us. And I just pray that you side with us and not permit for this to be built. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next Zoom speaker is Chris Barton, whom I think we had earlier, but it wasn't available. So Chris, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, can you hear me this time?
Yep. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I had connection issues. I'm calling in, I live in county, on unincorporated county. I'm here as a community member, and solidarity with our Chumash brothers and sisters. And I feel like, honestly, I think that's all you need to hear about this, respect the, thousands of years of ancestry on these lands. But I did want to also speak on, my hometown is Ojai, and I've seen firsthand what happens when, one of the benefits you're talking about, right, is bringing money to, whatever it is, like $2 million to the general fund. And while it may bring 40 units of quote unquote affordable housing, the long-term effects of being beholden to an investor who doesn't have the interest of the people who live in the town. They have an interest of making money off of tourists. It has real long-term effects on the housing crisis, just to make it worse and worse and make things more expensive as people come stay at the resort, and then they see this little, you know, beautiful place, and then they want to move there, and then real estate, you know, investors get wind of that, and you know, you have giant corporations buying up real estate, and it just snowballs from there. So the short-term solution is not really a solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next Zoom speaker is Rosemary Hall. Rosemary, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Yep.
Yes.
Hi. I just want to echo everyone who's been speaking, and I'm so grateful to have so many people speaking up for this land. I love Carpinteria. I've lived in Carpinteria on and off, and I currently live in Ojai. So this plan is truly a disservice to the people, all people, creatures, soil, and sustaining life. Why would we choose to displace people and their connection to land, to mar and clear cut, compress, and seal precious soil with cement? Why would we promise the future of watery to luxury transients? I watched Casitas Reservoir reach record lows, while the Ojai Valley Inn here sprays tons and tons of water over golf courses. And I know this place is not going to have a golf course, but it's going to be sucking water and destroying the soil that is so, so precious. So I please hope that you hear our voices.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many more, Brian?
So far, just 2.
Oh, put them together.
Next Zoom speaker is Michelle Gonzalez. Michelle, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so honestly I wasn't planning on talking about it, but I had to just because I'm a local and I was born and raised here. I live by Baylor, and I definitely don't want to pass by there all the time seeing a resort to be called for me. And I used to walk the Bluffs, and I still do when I have a chance, and I don't want that be taken away. And every time I open the windows, I don't want to see a big resort that I think that it is going to be. And I think Carpinteria is not right for that, and we should just keep it small and local. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next speaker is Jesse Sprigg. Jesse, go ahead. Jesse, are you there? Unmute yourself.
Hi. Yes. Hi. So I am right across the freeway from you guys. I was there earlier tonight, but I got hungry, and so I'm sorry you're still there, Brad.
Hey, it's okay. You got my attention now. Who's this?
Hi, I'm Jesse.
Okay, Jesse.
So, yeah, I remember in the 90s when we did this and we, bought, I always confuse the parcels. Anyway, this project is just not right for Carpinteria. And I just want to echo, I think that everyone has already said it better than I possibly can, but it's just not right. And so I'll see you at the next meeting, and good to see everyone tonight. Thank you, Susan Allen. Thank you, Ted Rhodes, Arturo. Thank you, Marissa Allen. That was nice to hear from you. And yeah, thanks everyone. I'll see you at the next one.
All right, ta-ta. Can you turn it off now?
Chair Stein, that concludes Zoom speakers.
Oh, okay. That's good. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break though, and then we'll come back.